right, so start off with personal safety. So we know closed-toed shoes, loose fitting, not drapey clothes. If your hair is long enough, something to help tie it back. Okay? Mentioned these before, but we have goggles for eye protection. So ones with little holes on them are for objects coming at you. But they've got these little vents on the top of them. This is for liquid, so we don't want to get liquid splashed in your face. Okay? So eye protection, goggles. Cleaned up the safety glasses. Everybody remember safety glasses from before? The acrylic, plastic, clear wraparounds. Gloves. Again, gloves come in all different sizes and shapes. So these are fabric backs, leather top, leather hands. Bottom, you can get all leather. You can get mesh gloves. Earplugs. So hearing protection knocks down about 30 decibels sound. Pinch them, roll them up, stick them in your ear, hold them for a second until they expand, and let go. Ear muffs. Okay? So ear muffs go over your head. You're going to knock out about 28 to 30 decibels sound. Face shields. So face shields come in a variety of covers here, depending on what you want to do. Some of them are just the top with a piece of plastic. Some of them wrap all the way around. But the idea is the same. Instead of just protecting your eyes, these will protect the whole face. Safety. So going along with safety, part of being safe in the shop is having a clean shop. For those of you who are going to be working in the shop, you're going to become familiar with these. So what is this?
A brush.
Table brush. Okay, so if we ask you to get a table brush, we're asking you to get this tool right here. Okay? If we ask you to get a floor brush, we're asking you to get one of these. Okay? You can call them brooms too, but a floor brush. Okay? Works this way. Alright, so when we use it, yep.
I've seen people when they're picking up sawdust, they push it with one of those instead of brooming it. Like I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so you'll see some of that. You also see people use a floor broom. Okay? So depending on the bristles can be soft. If they're soft, they work better on smooth, hard surfaces. Push stuff around. We also have floor brooms down there with stiff, harder bristles, usually black and brown looking. Those work better on asphalts and blacktops. So you'll see those next door in the campus theater, because that's where we use them there. Right? And a dustpan. Okay? Safety. So all those tools are part of safety. So on your midterm, you may be asked what kind of what category of tools these fall into. So these would fall into safety. Okay? Safety or protection. Right? Before you go into the shop, we're going to move on to measuring, marking, and layout. Okay? So before you go into the shop to do any cutting or anything like that, you want to have a plan. And you want to write that plan down. Okay? So a pencil and paper, especially graph paper, can be a really useful tool in the shop. You don't need a computer. You don't need to have fancy engineer rulers or architect rulers. You can go through just like we did with your room. Each square equals an inch, 2 inches, 5 inches, and you can go through and draw things really quickly in scale and draw that out. Okay? You can also create lists. This is what I need to do when I go into the shop. So you don't walk into the shop, pull out all your tools and go, oh, I just need to screw something in. Okay? So you have an idea of what you're doing. Steel tape measure. Okay? You can just call them tape measures, but steel tape measure. Right? Usually come in, here we've got a 12 to 25 foot lengths. Usually the 12 and 16 foot lengths are 3/4 of an inch across this way. The 25 and 30 footers are usually 1 inch across. Okay? You'll notice when you pick up the tape measure, you want to check for a couple things. One thing in particular. You want to check that the end here is square. So it looks like an L. It doesn't look like an angle or a flat on here, because this is going to help tell us what the measurements really are. Okay? And unless you use this exact same tape measure to do all your measuring and all your cuts, you can come out with wrong dimensions. If this is bent, you use this to do your measurements, and then put this tape measure down, and come over here and pick up a different tape measure and measure. Okay? One thing you'll notice that you may or may not notice is at the end of this little tab here is loose. It's not solid, and that's done on purpose. The reason why they do that is that you may need to measure something to the inside there. So you may need to push it up against something and get a measurement for it, or you may need to hook it onto something and get a measurement. Right? If this little tab here were fixed, you would be off by the thickness of that piece of metal there, depending on whether you just butted this up to it or you hooked it. So this little thing here on the end will move about 1/16 of an inch. So whatever the thickness of that little bracket is there. Okay? Tri-square. So this is square. It's at 90 degrees. You can put this to the inside of something to measure for square. You can put this around the outside of something to see if it's square. You can also use this. Some of these are marked with numbers. You can also use these to mark how far off an edge you want to, or you need to draw lines. Okay. Combination square. It's a combination square. It has a sliding ruler, so if you loosen this knob up here, you can slide this ruler. It's marked with your inches and divisions of inches. Just like the tri-square, you can use this to measure, to see if something's square on the outside. You can set this up to measure something, to see if something's square on the inside. You can also use this to measure or to mark 45-degree cuts. Okay? So combination square or combo square. You also see some of these have, or all of these will have a little vial on here with a little air bubble in it. That's so that you can use this for level, right, to see if this is something perpendicular to the ground. Framing square or carpenter square. So framing square or carpenter square, 16 inches on one side, 2 feet on the other. The reason why it's 16 inches and 2 feet is that those are the two most common measurements you're going to use in framing out a house. Okay, so you can take this, put a stud into your wall, and go through. Put this on an edge, describe this edge, and you know that your next stud falls here. Right? Or if you're on 2 foot centers, this way. Okay? If you look at it in here, there's some math already done for you. If you're framing out a house, you're doing roofs like that, it'll give you some of your measurements and angles in here. Fabric tape. So you used to get the fabric tape measures when you're going 50 feet or above on here. So we'll use this for laying out scenery and spaces where scenery goes on stage. Okay, helps do layouts on those. Sliding bevel gauge. So it looks like this when it's folded up. You loosen up and you twist that out. And you can tighten it this way, tighten it this way. What this lets you do is if you have something that you need to cut an angle on and you don't know what that angle is, you can take this on the edge and tighten it down. And now you can take this over to your saw, put this against the fence of your saw, and adjust your miter saw to this angle. You don't need to know what the number is on it. This angle is what it needs to be exactly. Okay? And you have this reciprocal on the back side.
Mark,
Yep.
what did you call that again?
A sliding bevel gauge.
It says T-bevel on the
Right.
paper.
Okay? So all those are marking or layout tools. Okay? Oh. What's another name for this? Friday people?
Hammer.
What?
A hammer.
A hammer. Okay? So, on the quiz, if you ever get stuck as to what something is called, I will give you 1/10 of a point for knowing that this could be a hammer. Okay? Any guesses why?
Because you can hit things with it.
At some point, everything is going to be a hammer. So you're going to be up doing something, you're going to realize I need this thing to move over just a little bit, and you're going to grab this and you're going to tap it, or bang it, or something like that. Okay? So every tool, anything I talk about here, its other name is hammer. Okay? All right.
Tape measure hammer.
Cutting tools. Back saw or miter saw. Okay? So it's called a back saw because it has a spine on the top of it here. It keeps the blade stiff, so it's hard for me to wobble this. And I can use this in a miter box and cut angles on a piece of wood. Okay? So it's a hand saw overall. Its true name is a back saw or a miter saw. Okay? Let me see if I can get the other. See if I can get another saw out here. So this is a saw. So, hand saws. So this is probably the saw that you're most used to seeing when we talk about hand saws. So something that looks like this. Okay. This saw is a rip saw. Okay. It's a rip saw because